Hey, I just found out that it's you blocking me getting this flight out of Afghanistan for my staff and the animals. So here's the deal, buddy. You either get me that ISAF number and you get me permission to get onto that airfield, or tomorrow morning I'm going to town on you. And the whole country and everybody else who's invested in this rescue is going to know it's you blocking this move. All right? I will get my staff out of here, and I'll get so many other people out of here on this flight, and then the dogs and cats are going in a cargo hold. Nobody can sit in a cargo hold, only the animals. So you get me that ISAF number, you get me the permission to get on the airfield, you get me the paperwork that says my staff have been approved, otherwise I'm going to spend the rest of my time destroying you on social media and every other platform I can find. I am sick to death of this. I am stuck in Kabul. The Taliban live next door, and I've just heard some that you said you went to Iraq. Well, come and join me then if you're that macho. I'm sick of this. Get me out of Afghanistan with my staff and my animals. I served for 22 years in the Royal Marine Commandos. I am not taking from people like you who are blocking me. You've got till tomorrow morning. I'm on Sky News around about 7:45, and your name will be the only name people are talking about. I'm taking people out of this country and others on a privately funded plane. And once I've finished taking them on that privately funded plane, I'm putting my dogs and cats in the cargo hold. Get it sorted. I'm not taking this anymore. You understand?
Sometimes you gotta be strong and be assertive to get things done. And if I'd had an AK-47 shoved in my face, or, okay, I live in Brixton, and so, you know, I don't know whether I've got the Taliban next door, but, I mean, I've lived near some very unsavoury characters. Genuinely, I think I would be just sort of like, what is going on here? Just sort it the hell out. I mean, Emily, what do you think of that foul-mouthed rant?
I'm torn. On the one hand, I don't think anyone should speak to anyone like that. Totally foul-mouthed, as you say, and very aggressive. However, I imagine dealing with the bureaucracy that is the Foreign Office and the Defence Ministry is probably absolutely, well, probably makes you want to tear your hair out if you've got any left after dealing with them. And I imagine, as you say, the stress of being, well...
You know, I agree, but if you've had an AK-47 shoved in your face, and you've got the Taliban next door, sometimes, you know, it's not like you're ringing about your gas bill to some poor person working in a call centre who, you know, and they've screwed up your bill again. I mean, you know, in that instance, I agree foul-mouthed rants aren't appropriate, but if you're actually ringing the ministry that could get you and your staff out after having served in the military for 22 years, and you might be left in the hands of a terrorist group, I don't know, perhaps you would want to be a little bit more assertive.
Yes, I can see how you might have a temper under those circumstances. Threatening him probably isn't a great look and might not go down well with the great British public. We don't like that sort of thing, but I can imagine why he was so angry. But these animals have been all over the news.
Yes.
I mean, I can't believe, listening to some people, some members of the public who seem to think that animals' lives are just as important as humans' lives, is just insane to me. I know that you're quite the animal lover, so perhaps you take a different view.
Quite the animal lover. Well, I think that it's ridiculous that this debate has become binary between is it humans or is it animals? Because as Farthing said many times, and there are a few bleeps around it, the animals go in the hold, and this was an extra flight being laid on privately, in which, had the Ministry of Defence pulled their finger out, more people would have been able to get on board, and the people who would have been travelling with the animals, not in the hold, were all eligible to come to the UK because they had been helping UK and US service personnel. Now, eventually, the Ministry of Defence pulled their finger out, escorted Farthing and the animals to the airport, but he had to leave all of these people behind, and a plane that could have taken hundreds of people with those animals never ended up going to Kabul.
Sure, it definitely has been misrepresented in the press who want to see it as a binary choice between humans and animals, which it certainly wasn't. However, I think there is justified concern that our resources were being used to help animals to sanctuary, which perhaps could have been redeployed elsewhere.
No, it was being helped to get humans to sanctuary with animals in the hold.
But that must have required manpower.
Yes, but
right?
you're
So that's
getting
manpower
humans
that
to
could have been used elsewhere.
If it was a plane full of animals with no humans on board, I would agree with you, but it was about getting humans to sanctuary, humans who had been looking after the animals, who were eligible.
But we didn't get them to sanctuary, did we?
Well, not the humans, because of the fact that the Ministry of Defence decided to politicise this because they're so unbearably incompetent, and Ben Wallace was more concerned about what he looked like on social media to people than he did about actually doing his job.
Well, I mean, the front of the Observer is that the ministry ignored frantic pleas to help Afghans. Thousands of emails went unread.
Yes.
And that doesn't particularly surprise me, knowing the work ethic of some of our civil servants. I imagine in a crisis it was very much a shock to the system, realising that they had to work longer hours. Well, quite. Yes, you can't necessarily blame the civil servants on the ground, although I'm inclined to a little.
They must have been thinking, well, why should we work any harder? Because our boss is on holiday. But in fairness, the civil service have done a sterling job. Would you not say now?
Well, you don't know. You don't know how much of a sterling job they've done, what they could have done if they'd been better equipped, if the foreign minister had been, more active and more present. Perhaps they could have saved many more people. Who knows?
Michelle has a tweet for you.
Oh, yes.
I think it's to you.
Uh-oh.
Of course, animals' lives are equally as important as humans. Why shouldn't they be? Emily?
Well, we have a hierarchy of species, don't we, really?
Why should we?
We have much more cognitive ability.
Doesn't that
We
mean
have morals,
that we have an obligation for those creatures then that don't?
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. If you had a baby in distress, a human baby, next to a puppy in distress.
Yes.
I think the vast majority, including the lady who just tweeted in, probably would go for the baby.
But I have to say, and perhaps this is a reflection on what a hideous person I am, when I see those adverts now every day, when you're watching daytime TV, a bit of Judge Judy or, something like that.
Absolutely not.
I love a bit of Judge Judy. She makes me so happy. You're watching a bit of that, and then one of those adverts come in, and it's like, this is a child who is in a terrible war zone and everything's awful, and I'm kind of completely immune to them. Show me an RSPCA advert. Show me a donkey in distress. My Switch card couldn't be out quicker.
Is that because animals can't let you down?
Animals
in the same
can't
way
let you down.
humans
They're
can?
completely defenceless. They remain in that sort of childlike state, baby-like state forever. I feel like we have an obligation to them, but
not ahead of humans. Surely not.
Not ahead of humans, but I'll return to my point that this was a flight that would have had 270 humans on board, 70 of whom were part of Farthing staff and family, and the animals would have been in the hold. It was sort of a bonus flight of humans that was being laid on essentially for free for the British authorities because it was privately funded. Had it just been a flight of animals, I completely agree. People would have thought that was barking mad. No pun intended. But it wasn't. And I think the way in which the narrative has been reduced to the binary choice between a flight of animals or a flight of humans instead is absolutely ridiculous because it misrepresents the facts of the situation. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call.